What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Tornado Tag. ABJ presents. We are here. We're going to be talking Survivor Series Deadly Game. Hated that song, by the way. But ABJ, BP Burke, and Lilly in the house. We are here live on a Tuesday. So if you guys listen to this audio-wise, please help us with a 5-star review on those audio podcast platforms, and make sure you screenshot it and tag us and tell us what you thought of this episode. Did you watch along? Did you do your homework? So we watched this with the Discord community a little bit. Some people came in the Discord and hung out and watched it with us. That will be something we do more often. Maybe not just in the Discord. Maybe we just say, hey, like Thursday night, we got nothing going on. We're going to go live, myself and Lilly. If BP wants to, he can definitely join us. As I
have been dabbling in Discord a little more lately.
There you go.
I had a Twitter group chat, and like a lot of us, after certain events happened earlier, we were like, "Yeah, I think we're done with Twitter." And I since have deleted my Twitter account, or X or whatever you want to call it. So I actually I have gotten a little more familiar with Discord this month.
Not have John joined mine yet. That's awesome. Thanks for that.
I'm there.
No, I have a new one.
No, I'm there.
Oh, are you?
I will put a message in there right now.
Holy shit, BP making his fucking Discord debut. Wow. Anyway,
he's about to level up.
He's about to level up. I know the level up system is no longer a thing until I start paying for Discord stuff again. It won't be as fancy as the last one, but we'll get it there. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing Survivor Series 98. We have some great merchandise. Holidays are coming up. If you can help us out, we'll throw a couple bucks in our wallet. Keep the lights on. Go grab some merchandise, or you can just do some super chats, donations. They're all there. If you're on the YouTube side, hit that like, that share and subscribe button. I know that is the worst catchphrase in content creating history, but it helps out more than you know. So yeah, we're gonna be doing this. BP, while you're doing this, I know we do a little bit of weekly wrestling news, but what's new with you?
This has been the rare off couple of weeks for me for wrestling.
Yeah.
December is when it's really going to heat up for me again. I will be hanging out or doing something, I'm sure, at AXW on the 7th of December in Orangeburg, Pennsylvania. Their 2014, where am I? Their 2024 finale. I wish it was 2014, and I would be a lot younger. And then also, we do have PPW, The Winds of Winter, coming up December 14th. Just
Who named that show? Well, where did that name come from? The Winds of Winter.
You don't know what that's from?
No.
Well, no, it is. Well, first of all, Paul's son comes up with the names. Paul's younger son.
Okay.
And The Winds of Winter is the final book of the A Song of Ice and Fire series. Lord of the Rings was the first, or Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones was the first one. Right. But the book series is called A Song of Ice and Fire, and The Winds of Winter is that last book that has like never come out. But it's coming. It's going to be PPW's final show of 2024. We've announced there's going to be a big battle royal. Some very, very exciting names. One that I know I've made you party to. That is no, you're not. I can make that happen. If you want a piece, if you want a piece,
get me in.
Oh, you want to crack at Rembrandt? I'll get you in there.
Your bookie might change a little bit because I might eliminate some of your fan favorites. I'm just telling you that right now.
Gonna go in the business for yourself a little bit.
I'm shooting hard.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be like that. This actually happened in ECW. Early ECW. There's a guy, horrible person, confirmed horrible person, Rockin' Rebel, killed himself and his wife many years ago, and he was not very popular in the ECW locker room. Not obviously didn't know that was going to happen, but he had just rubbed people the wrong way, and they had a battle royal, and they told him he was winning the battle royal, and they told everybody else in the battle royal, as soon as that bell rings, you're all going to eliminate Rockin' Rebel. So they all go at Rebel at the very beginning of the battle royal, and he's screaming, I'm over, as they dump him out. Or I'm up, whatever. It's something like that. He's screaming that he's supposed to win as they're dumping him out of the battle royal.
Is that videotaped?
Probably, but I don't know where it would be unless it was on like one of those old ECW TV shows. It's now on the network. Like it was very early on. It was Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Well, quick segue while we're talking ECW. Can't go into full details, but above BP's head, Joining that a beautiful high tension logo is Ruda Entertainment. More details coming soon. But a part of this, I guess, announcement that we can't talk about just yet. I was gifted a brand new title, BP.
Oh, look at this. Yeah.
The ECW Television Championship. Now, this belt looks legit, right? Looks perfect.
Yeah. Famously held by Rob Van Dam.
This belt weighs ounces compared to the other belts.
Oh,
this is one of the brass belts. Very, very thin. Very great for kids. Kids or people who want to carry a belt around or have a replica belt, but maybe don't want to carry around a 25-pound big man piece of gold. You know what I mean?
So weak people, the frail, the infirmed,
weak, frail, tainty. No, I don't know. No, but these are great. Like, if back in the day, if they made toys like this, this would be a landslide victory, because a kid can wear this, they can beat up on it, they can throw it around. It's super light. It's a great kid's gift. This is perfect. Like, honestly, and they're super affordable by Ruda Entertainment. When you do order your belt, say you got it, you heard it from the ABJ podcast. But yeah, so this one here was gifted to me so I can take to shows and show people what the top quality belt looks like, and then what the brass belts look like. Still amazing quality. I don't want to take anything away from this belt. It looks and feels great, but it's a lot lighter, a lot thinner, great for children. But also, BP, we were at the Hamburg Fieldhouse, and there was somebody that was going to be there that I was very excited to meet. Unfortunately, he was unable to come. I had my little whistle ready. I was going to meet him.
A certain manager of champions.
A certain manager of champions, almost like a Ruda himself. Like they're one and the same. And this belt is autographed by, there he is, Fonzie himself, Bill Alfonso. And hopefully I can. Wasn't there another guy in the area who famously held this title that comes to PPW every now and then?
Mikey Whipwreck was a former ECW TV champion. Yeah.
So I might be able to someday add the old whippersnapper onto this bad boy too. But
that was his finish. That wasn't his name.
I know, but I like the little
only one of those guys beat Steve Austin, and it wasn't Bill Alfonso.
Yeah, Fonzo could have if you let him in there. You know what I mean?
Fonzie had enough trouble with Beulah. He almost died in that match.
But yeah, so that was the new gift by Ruda Entertainment. More details coming soon. Please follow Joe Ruda on all social media. Show him love.
As good as it gets. Yes.
Yeah, he's the best. And he just put a hype video out for this bad boy today. Little.
I thought he was going to fire me, but
yeah. He gave you the keys to the Lambo.
Gave me the heebie-jeebie. Scared the hell out of me is what he did.
Yeah,
scared the ever-loving hell out of me.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it for when it comes to like news. I know there's a pay-per-view. Is it this weekend or next weekend?
This weekend, this Saturday, is Survivor Series. War Games.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna be honest. I might watch that the next day. I'm not sure what's going on yet this weekend. It's the holidays and stuff. It's all over the place. But without Lily, do you have anything you want to talk about wrestling wise?
Jade Cargill's out now, so like.
Were
we expecting that though? Were you expecting that though?
No.
My understanding is it's a
how do you feel about it?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like a week before, like, how do you?
Can I be honest? And I'm not trying to be mean.
You would be, because you usually are.
I'm not trying to be mean when I say this. I think it's not a terrible thing that Jade Cargill is not in that War Games. Because I think they could probably put somebody in and have a surprise. Hey, this is a cool person. Let's get excited for it.
Well, it seems like it's going to be Bailey, and Bailey is nothing against Jade Cargill, but with their current levels of experience, Bailey is a step up from Jade Cargill.
It gives, and even if it is Bailey, I mean, it wouldn't be a huge like, oh my god, that's awesome. But it would. They have a moment to make the women's event seem more interesting, because now we know that there's a mystery person, and mystery people going into a match always makes it better. Am I lagging?
And the guy that comes out of the box gets over.
Hell yeah,
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's and Chuck's in the chat. What's going on, Charles? For the birthday boy himself, last week, hanging out with us. Thank you for hanging out with us and giving us a thumbs up over on YouTube. our Facebook. All right, let's get into it. Survivor Series 1998. I'll give a little Wikipedia rundown real quick, and I'll turn it over to Brian. But Survivor Series, marketed as Survivor Series Deadly Game, was the 12th annual Survivor Series, a professional wrestling pay-per-view produced by the World Wrestling Federation. It took place November 15th, 1998 at the Kiel Center in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
I probably said that wrong.
No, you got it.
It
Kiel
had
Center. Yep.
14 professional wrestling matches were scheduled
What
on
the
the
hell is
events
this,
card.
PPW?
A noticeably higher number for pay-per-view, but the main focus on the card was a tournament for the newly vacated WWF Championship. It was the first tournament held in WWF held for the WWF Championship in 10 years. The last being at WrestleMania. Both were 14 WrestleMania 4, which were both 14 matches and 8 regular matches and 16 tournament matches. So there also was a women's championship, a triple threat tag team match for the tag team championships were also on the card as well. The buy rate 400,000, attendance 21,000. The taglines was Deadly Games. And just to kind of run down this real quick, we had on the English I'm just going to do English commentaries. I'm sorry, Spanish people, but Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross are going to be your commentary team. Interviewers are going to be Michael Cole, Doc Hendricks, and Kevin Kelly. Ring announcers are going to be Tony Chimmel from Sunday Night Heat and Howard Finkel on the pay-per-view. Referees are going to be Tim White, Jim Corsitas,
Jimmy
Corderas,
Jimmy
thank you.
Corderas, yes.
Or Earl Hebner, Jack Doan, Mike Chioda, and Shane McMahon.
So I'm going to guess here, even though you didn't say it, that the Spanish announced team would have been at this point Hugo Savinovich and Carlos Cabrera.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Hugo Savinovich very famously married Wendy Richter.
Who did he ever beat?
Hugo? I don't think Hugo ever wrestled. Wendy Richter did.
That's right.
So this is a very significant show, a very significant show. You really see the very, very, very beginnings of two of the characters besides Steve Austin. Steve Austin's been hot all year. Yeah. Steve Austin has been a runaway train now for a year plus, and when you come into 1998, WWE is still in the midst of that losing streak. The beginning of 1998 is when Mike Tyson comes in, and you have that big angle with him and Austin. You have Shawn Michaels losing the WWF title to Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14, thanks to The Undertaker. Had to tape up his fist in the back, make sure business was going to be done, make sure everything was going to be done the right way. And from there, it was shortly after that they break the streak. It was April 13th, 98 that the infamous, 83-week Nitro winning streak was broken. And for a lot,
is that what it is? 83 weeks? I don't know if I've ever
82 or 83. It's
not beaten in your head with the name of a podcast, right? 83 weeks,
right? Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So I was actually I think we brought this up before. I was at the Raw that broke the streak. I think we brought that up before. Mm-hmm. It was in Philly. So through a lot of 98 after that, it was back and forth. Raw would win a few, Nitro would win a few. Both were still pretty hot. But by this time, Raw was starting to pull away. WWF is starting to pull away. And this is kind of the show that leaves them in the dust, because you had Austin, and you have guys like The Undertaker, you have all these guys. Mick Foley was elevated. But now The Rock and Mankind are coming up to that level too. And this show is the best thing I can say about the show. I know we've joked around that this is Vince Russo's magnum opus. This is his finest hour. And it is in a lot of ways. It is in a lot of ways. It's not a great show if you're a fan of clean finishes. It's not a great show if you're a fan of long, psychologically sound wrestling matches. But if you like sports entertainment, if you like that crash booking, but in a way that makes sense more than most of the stuff that Russo ever did, this is the show for you.
I was like, a lot of subtle things that you don't catch. Yeah, you don't catch a lot of the certain things until later on in the show when you get the big reveal and you're like, oh, yeah, he's been getting help the whole time. But they made it see, and the fans, I don't care who you are, if you were in attendance, you bought it. because the
Yeah.
fans did not change until they were essentially told to.
Yep. No, it went off without a hitch, and you did have a lot of filler. You had to have certain matches because of kayfabe, where you had to have that tag team title match so that the people in the finals get a break. They can't just go from one match to the next. Same thing for the from the quarterfinals to the semifinals. But yeah, for a 14-match card, they did do some, like, one of those matches was 30 seconds long. One of those matches was literally about 4 seconds long. So they cut where they had to cut.
Yep.
And that allowed them to give time to the matches that needed a little bit more time. And yeah, I think this is one of the more memorable, especially for a Survivor Series that completely abandoned that whole idea of the team match, the teams of 5 strive to survive, or even now the war games that they've graduated into that. This is pretty much a kind of benchmark, very memorable Survivor Series. And it also does come into play that this is 1 year removed from 1997, where the Montreal Screwjob happened at Survivor Series. And that is something that gets kind of themed in on very heavily by the time we get to the end, very heavily, to the point that The Rock still uses the sharpshooter to this day because of this show.
Yep. And I'll start off with little notes I have in my notebook. Horrible song. I hate the Deadly Game song. It's terrible.
But it's a deadly game.
Yeah, it's a deadly game. Hated it. Good intro package. The intro package, the way it was done, very, very good. Quick shout out to AEW. That November Rain video package was awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Whether you love Limp Bizkit or not, if you love Limp Bizkit or not, that My Way one.
Wait. Time out. You think that song's by Limp Bizkit?
No. When Limp Bizkit did the My Way and they used it for
okay.
Rock Austin. Yo.
Oh, that's incredible.
That was the best one of all time. Like, that is the best. Chicken.
No,
melody.
That was perfect. Yeah.
I actually went on a huge Limp Bizkit tear the other day at work. I was just listening to Limp Bizkit. I had so much fun at work.
I thought for a second you thought November Rain was a Limp Bizkit. I'm like, what the hell?
No, absolutely
How
not.
can you think that?
Could you imagine? Another thing, I'm just kind of going with the start of the show. I'm not jumping around. Signage. Wow, the 90s with your signs.
Oh,
you just
all
love
over
them.
the place. Yeah.
Love them. Some really good ones that I did point out as like that's funny.
Completely inappropriate. Yeah.
Oh, love it. Yeah, the inappropriate ones are great.
70s,
I noticed there was
the
Sables. Well, I did see, because he had the Al Snow thing, like, because he had head. What does everybody want? Head? But did you notice behind Ross and Lawler at one point, there's literally a sign that says, "What does everybody want? Tits."
Yeah,
like that's the sign.
Like, I like the Foley is God sign. That one's a big, really popular one.
Yeah, well, that to the point where his second book was called Foley is Good, because he wasn't comfortable with that. He's like, just say Foley is good, please.
Yes,
please don't compare me to God.
And then the New Age Outlaw sign, where they literally, like the old school long computer paper, where they wrote the entire New Age Outlaws catchphrase in the paper. Awesome. Could you imagine walking into if you tried to bring that into a stadium now, they wouldn't even let you.
Yeah, I know WWE, and they're probably vetting them very closely. WWE has started to do that on Raw, where they even have a segment on the show like, let's look at the signs, and you see all the different signs. But I'm sure
you know what the new rule is now, because I was in a line where somebody was bringing one in. The only way they get rid of your sign is if it's they look at the door and see if it's inappropriate,
right? Or if it's blank,
or they won't let blank signs in. It has to be written on both sides. If you have one side that's not written on, they won't let you in the door with it.
Right.
Yeah. So pro tip, when you're bringing a sign to a thing, if it's blank on the other side, write something on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Write something clean on it.
Also, great logo.
Mm-hmm.
And great set. The set looked awesome.
This is back when you actually had like distinct sets for different shows. I'm trying to think. I want to say I don't think this one got used in a video game, unless it was like one of the SmackDown games, because this is after. This is after. Wait,
WrestleMania,
maybe
WrestleMania 2000. So this wouldn't even been in.
Yeah, WrestleMania 2000. Yeah, WrestleMania 2000 would have been the 99 Survivor Series with like Big Show, and Big Show won the title and also get hit by the car.
Because you're still in N64 era right now. You're still in.
Yeah, no, you're still in the Claim era.
You're not even THQ yet because it was No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 at this point.
THQ is still making WCW games at this point. This is around the time
Yeah.
WCW NWO Revenge came out, which is a great game. Oh, that game's so good. See, this is around the time of like WWF Attitude, which was still very much a Acclaim, not quite as good as the THQ games thing. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah, no, I'm reading the ABJ signs Kiss My Metal Ass. All right. Whatever. I like it. Is that like a Bender joke? Like a
so
future
you're the only person who can see that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got timed out for using foul language.
Oh, you got flagged. I put it up there for you. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Fight the power. Yeah, so yeah, I was Googling and I didn't have the screen open. If Survivor Series 98 was ever used in a video game. And I don't see any.
Now the games really started to take off a little after this.
Yeah.
With the SmackDown series. Yeah. The Acclaim ones had very kind of generic sets, I believe. I think WWF Attitude, which would have been around this time, had things where you could make your own sets, sort of, but
yeah,
it was still very rudimentary, very, very rudimentary. And yeah, it would be like a few years later, like 99, 2000, like No Mercy has that classic like Royal Rumble set from 2001. Yep. And anyway, that's all about the video.
Backlash, the one where the fucking thing swung.
And
that
King of the Ring,
sick.
King of the Ring with the giant throne, and I think you could get up on the throne and fight and throw people off of it.
That was a sick one. So there is 2 dark matches on this show, or pre-show matches.
Sunday night heat matches.
Probably. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. There's 4 matches that were not on the pay-per-view. So you'll have Too Much, which is Scott Taylor versus Brian Christopher. And they're not soon to be too cool. And they defeat the Hardy Boys on a dark match.
Hardy Boys are still very, very, very new here.
Yeah. It doesn't even give a time for the match.
These matches probably weren't dark. Maybe that one was, but a lot of these matches were probably on Sunday Night Heat, which was on for the hour before the pay-per-view.
The Job Squad of Bob Holly and Scorpio with Al Snow is going to take on and beat the Legion of Doom, except it's Animal and Draws.
Yeah, they were on their way out.
And Val Venus is going to defeat Tiger Ali Singh with Babu.
Babu, former ECW star Babu. He was Babu was also in ECW. He was El Puerto Riqueño. He was also Pablo Marquez, and in other places he was Ubas, which was Sabu spelled backward because he kind of looked like Sabu a little bit.
Yeah, and then Gangrel with Edge and Christian is going to defeat Steve Blackman, and that's your pre-show matches.
Steve Blackman, Pennsylvania,
lives in Harrisburg.
Steve Blackman,
yeah. I met him walking into a gym. I was like, "Holy shit, that's Steve Blackman." He just looked at me. I was like, "If he would have busted out nunchucks, I would have ran for my life."
Dangerous man, dangerous man.
Didn't they glow? Didn't he turn the lights off and he would glow?
I think they did have glowing ones for a while. Yeah. And then he teamed with Al Snow for a little bit as Head Cheese because he was very dry and Al Snow was very comedic, and that was a thing for a little bit.
You're gonna get some Al Snow later on tonight. We'll get into that.
Maybe
we're gonna start off. Yeah, we're gonna get the first match here is gonna be Mankind comes to the ring, and he's gonna and there's a lot of talk going on. Like, I'm not gonna, if you want to break down all the other stuff in the middle, you can. Yeah. But there's segments, and they talk about how Undertaker and Kane both get a bye, and they don't know what Triple H is going through because he just got injured.
Right. So do you want me to set up the stage for that?
Sure. Yeah, please.
So the reason Undertaker and Kane get a bye, Steve Austin was the champion for a while, and they had a main event 2 shows before this. It was In Your House Breakdown, I believe, where it was The Undertaker versus Kane versus Steve Austin, and The Undertaker and Kane are in cahoots. They're working together, and they both pin Steve Austin at the same time. Like, they both cover one side of him, 1, 2, 3. And so now, like, Austin's no longer the champ. Vince McMahon, this is full evil Vince mode. He just wanted the title off of Austin. He didn't care who did it. So they both did it. And the next month, the whole thing is, well, Austin is going to be the referee between Undertaker and Kane. And if he doesn't count a winner, if he doesn't referee it right, he's fired. And that's the In Your House before this, Judgment Day. And Austin just lays out both guys with a chair, counts 1, 2, 3 while they're both down, says he's the champion. And then Vince basically is behind the sign and he says, "Screw you, you're fired." And then the next night is that infamous thing where they take, like, Austin has a gun and he brings Vince into the ring and Vince pisses his pants and hires him back. And Austin pulls the trigger and the flag comes out and it says "Bang 316."
Yeah, like the Joker.
So that happened the day after Austin got fired.
Could you imagine in today's time when a talent gets the owner of the company and puts a gun to his head in the middle of a wrestling ring?
You would have thought they would have learned their lesson about gun angles after the Pillman thing, but they didn't. They didn't.
Could you,
bro?
The internet would have a meltdown if they used a gun in professional wrestling right now.
Well, I mean, they did it in DDT. DDT, like,
you can't even say gun on certain social media platforms.
Yeah. Well, in Japan, they don't actually have guns, so they can use them in comedic ways. Where DDT is a very comedy-heavy promotion, and like a guy pulled a gun on everybody in the match once, and it was fun. Actually, TNA, Puppet the Psycho Dwarf pulled a gun on people. One of the little people, he pulled a gun on like Jeff Jarrett, I think.
Nasty Leroy pulled a gun on people.
There you go. Yeah,
there it is. Shout out to Nasty Leroy. You're a rat bastard. Not him, but just in general. Everyone else are rat bastards. Nasty Leroy is a gem of the salt of the earth.
Because Undertaker and Kane were the people who were competing for the title, they get a bye in the second round, very much like Hogan and Andre did at WrestleMania 4.
Real quick, just because I know he never listens to this, and if someone clips it and sends it to him, it'd be funny. Nasty Leroy, also huge fan of Long Island. Loves his
favorite wrestler.
His favorite wrestler's cheeseburger, and his favorite place to go visit, where all the best wrestlers come from in his eyes, is Long Island.
He's probably one of those people chanting cheeseburger at AEW in Reading last week.
He was.
One of the biggest pops of the night.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the context there. And so the thing with this opening match is it's Mankind against a mystery opponent, and the lead up to this, they very, very, very heavily teased that it was Shawn Michaels.
I was wondering because the crowd is chanting HBK.
Yeah, that was the heavy implication. So some of the things to know coming into this, Mankind is kind of this bumbling kind of, he's finding like that comedic swing that Mick Foley really became known for at the latter stage of his career, but he's doing it where he is kind of seeing Vince McMahon as his father figure. He'll do anything for Vince. He'll go after anybody Vince wants to go after.
He's stupid.
Yeah, he's stupid. So basically it's like, oh, well, this guy, Vince is just leading him along because like Vince coming into this wants anybody but Austin. Anybody but Austin. I don't care who wins this thing as long as it's not Austin, but I want it to be Mankind. That's what you're led to think going into this. The Rock has recently turned babyface. He's left the Nation of Domination about 2 months before this. He says he would rather kiss the people's ass and kiss Vince's ass or something like that, or be a horse, kiss a horse's ass than kiss Vince. I forget what he said, but the Rock is really being slotted as a babyface. He has caught fire. The Rock is white hot coming into the show as a babyface. And it looks like he's very much shaping up to be, babyface 1A or 2 behind Austin. And let's see how the show goes.
Yeah.
And it starts. Go ahead. I'll pass it to you here.
Oh, yeah. So it starts off with Vince McMahon comes out and makes the announcement that we're gonna have a guy coming out who he lists all these prestigious things he does, and he's amazing, and it almost teases as if he's possibly a WCW superstar, but then he brings out I don't want to say the wrong name because he doesn't go by it quite yet, but he brings out Dwayne Gill.
Yes, his real
Dwayne Gill, and there's a video package of Dwayne Gill as the jobber all those years in WWE and all the stuff he did for a long time, and then they say he's the head coach of the Pasadena Chargers.
Yes,
and on commentary was so beautiful how Jerry Ross goes, the Pasadena Chargers, this has just been passed to me, is an elementary school football team.
Which I think Dwayne's kid played for or something at the time.
Yeah, so good.
Like he was their shoot head coach.
Yeah, and he's not Gilbert as of yet.
No,
he's just
Gilbert would come a few weeks after this.
Yes,
Dwayne Gill was so impressive here that he wound up becoming Gilbert. They want to throw him a bone.
his facial expressions to the crowd, here's one thing I will say a lot here. And maybe it's just the atmosphere that the 98 crowd gave this roster, but man, did everyone, even if your wrestling was dog shit, man, they played to the crowd so well. And it makes me interested to see how some of these plant talent would have acted as if they had a dead crowd. You know what I mean? Because it was white hot.
Oh no, the crowds were so hot at this point. Wrestling and especially WWF at this point this is the beginning of the boom. This is the beginning of, and I'm not talking about the boom like the Costco guys. I'm talking about like the wrestling.
Don't even bring up their names. All right. Yeah.
Over 10 million views on YouTube for that, by the way.
You know what's annoying? Every single AEW superstar is making videos with them and putting them all over the internet. Like it's like they never met anyone ever before. Like you want to make yourself look cool, then don't act like a mark. Like you yell at fans for acting like marks, and then an internet celebrity walks in that's on their 15 minutes of fame, walks in the door, and you act like mega marks for them. It's a grown-ass man who used to be a pro wrestler who's using not even his own kid to get over.
Well, one of them is
it's weird. And they're both, it's like you're using your children to get over. Grow up.
It worked for the Jacksons. Kind of. So
I'm telling you, I'm waiting for the Netflix documentary to drop when this all hits the fucking fan.
So I hit a nerve. So Dwayne Gill is the crowd is so hot, and this is a quick 30-second squash, double arm DDT, cradle by Mankind, and it's over. And the whole idea is, okay, they're setting this up for Mankind to cakewalk his way to the finals.
Absolutely. Match 2. I actually like this matchup. Jeff Jarrett versus Al Snow.
So Jeff Jarrett,
wonky finish. But
not me going, oh my gosh, that's what Jeff Jarrett actually used to look like.
Yeah. Well, sure, she goes, wow. And I go, you talking about Deborah? And he's like, no, Jeff Jarrett.
Look at Jeff Jarrett. Actually,
ain't he great?
Yeah. Deborah still looks amazing today.
Yeah, I remember she was in Hamburg and it was like 90
in a
degrees.
3-piece suit. It was 500 degrees in that building.
Looking like she's going to the Kentucky Derby.
She didn't have a drop of sweat on her. Nope. I don't know how she did it.
She probably her sweat glands removed or something.
It's the fans.
Huh?
Probably her sweat glands removed or something.
Jesus, it was unbelievable.
So this is very early on in Deborah McMichael being in WWE.
When did they drop McMichael? Not long after this, right? Then she just went by Deborah.
Yeah. They just went with Deborah pretty early on. In fact, after this, because it's not bad on this show at all, but this is heavy into the TNA-ification of women, and there's a lot of evening gown matches and things like that. And the month after this is In Your House Rock Bottom, and there's a match between Goldust and Jeff Jarrett on that show, and they wind up having the stipulation where Deborah has to like strip if Jeff Jarrett loses, and the way Goldust phrases it is Little Debbie has to show us her tasty cakes. Like
crowd real quick, crowd with a lot of cosplay. There is a Goldust, a Kane, and a Mankind in the front row. And here's the best part. Go back and watch this. If you ever catch it, it's fucking hilarious. The guy in the Kane costume has a like professional level photography camera, and he's snapping photos. Now, there's no fucking LCD screen on these cameras in 98. He's taking pictures in the mask. He never took the mask off. He's like this. It was awesome. I was like, yo, he didn't even take the mask off for that photo.
Pointed that out to me. I would have loved it.
Yeah, it was. Go back and watch that. The Kane guy in the front row is snapping photos and never took the mask off. I would love to see how maybe they're all fucked up, and he's like, oh shit, I should have took the mask off for this.
So this is also like kind of early on in this look for Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett, up until SummerSlam of this year, was long hair, and he would wear like the long pants with the like banded shirt, and then he lost a hair versus hair match to X-Pac, and he didn't totally shave his head, but he got the kind of shorter haircut he's been known for ever since, and kind of reinvented himself. Owen Hart joins up with him. They have a great tag team, and then next year he goes to WCW.
Why? What was the story behind Head having Socko around his around it?
Vince McMahon took it.
Yeah, Vince McMahon took it and gave it to Al Snow so that when Mankind would find it, he would get enraged and it would take him to that next level. They explained that on
Gotcha.
commentary in the Mankind Al Snow match in the next round.
That makes sense. Another thing too is Al
Snow. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Got Al Snow with the side pony, which is funny. They had the side pony going on. No, just one pigtail.
Pre-Napoleon Dynamite too.
Yeah, just one.
Oh.
Al Snow's music, where it sounds like a woman's voice saying something backwards or something distorted. Yeah. Does anyone ever know what it's being said? Is that like a weird, random fact?
I don't know, but somebody probably did. I know this was around the time, maybe would have been a little after this, where Walmart refused to sell his action figure because they said it was a woman's severed head. Even though it's supposed to be a mannequin head, it was never supposed to be a real head.
Yeah, it was never supposed to be a real head. It was a way to bring something out and just be able to say that you want head on television. It was more the oral sex joke than it was degrading women. Not degrading women, but to like masochist women is what they're kind of saying.
It was also like he's crazy. He's talking to a mannequin head that he thinks is a real person.
Yeah,
that was the other part of.
Then Deb gets head, and famously Jim Ross goes, "What does she know about head?"
Oh, the double entendres. Oh, the casual misogyny of the Attitude Era.
Listen, sometimes there's characters in wrestling to this day you can still play around with stuff and do double entendres. That's why I love dude matches, because they're there all day long. You can live a little bit of the 90s through really good gimmick characters.
And I think I'm pretty sure this is the case. I know one of them is Al Snow. Actually, is the guy who came up with the idea for Mr. Socko, and I'm pretty sure because they were good friends, still are, I believe. That Mick Foley came up with head. So they both came up with each other's like signature gimmick for this time.
That's awesome. I actually you can't really see her back there, but I got a head. You were with me when I got it. I just have to dye the hair brown on it. But I have my own mannequin head, which I always fucking wanted. I got to write "Help Me" on it and put.
I'm sure I could secure one of those for myself if I really wanted to.
Yeah, I always wanted a head, so I have my own head. I have my own head now.
I'm sure I could track down a couple of those for myself if I really, really wanted to.
Yeah, if you really, there's probably a broom closet full of them from the 1950s.
So, yeah, with this match, very screwy finish. We're gonna start with the kind of chicanery at the finish of matches here, where Al Snow goes for Jeff's guitar, and Jeff goes for Al Snow's head, and it kind of gets all crossed up. And there's a low blow right in front of the referee that nobody cares about.
Bro, the referees dropped the ball this show.
Lots of blatant interference directly in front of the referee.
Couldn't find the cat for a while, but he disappeared.
Oh, okay.
He sometimes there's a few times where he got out and just runs the neighborhood, and we lost him for like a week and a half. So anytime he disappears and we can't find him, it's kind of a big deal. So
it's like a mini panic attack every time. But then I'm like, I know he's gonna come back.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Right,
sorry. So for you listening home, we're just kind of explaining what that whole little outburst was. But yeah, go ahead. Next matchup here.
So our next matchup, continuing round 1 of the Deadly Game tournament, is going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin against the Big Boss Man. And Boss Man here is Vince's
working
heavy.
Triple time. Yeah, he's working triple time tonight.
Yeah, he's the guy who's gonna he if you've ever watched Breaking Bad, if Vince is Walter White, he's Mike. He's kind of fixing everything. He's
fact
gonna make sure
with the
that
Boss
everything
Man
goes
this
right.
show. Lily's watching and goes, "Why does this security guard keep coming out?" And I'm like, why does she think he's a fuck? And I realized that every person who does extra work that she has now seen, minus the tactical vest, is essentially dressed like the Big Boss Man. I'm like, oh, she has no idea about the Big Boss Man. That looks like a security guard to her. Like,
I think he was supposed to be Vince McMahon's chief of security. I think that was his entire
and that's
gimmick.
how it started, was that he was like the security, and then it was like, okay, but why is he still out?
Yeah, but she has no idea
who is he though? Like
the Boss Man. Yeah,
is he like I'm over here? Like, is this like a guy in the Indies who hasn't made it yet, or like
no,
what's
not
the
even
deal
close.
here? And then I'm like,
yeah,
he's actually like.
So Boss Man used to be a lot bigger, a lot heavier,
a lot bossier, a lot mannier.
Yeah, and he used to wear like a bright robin egg blue prison uniform, like
Yeah, he was a
cop
prison
uniform.
guard. Yeah,
Prison
he
guard,
was a
yeah.
prison guard.
And
yeah.
then he lost a ton of weight. He looked really good, and then became more of like a military looking, like security officer guy. Which
And
I'm
if you
gonna
go-
be like tactical.
SWAT team.
But he was awesome. Bossman later in his career, I think, is
Yeah.
way better than Bossman early in his career.
He had his moments early on too. Like even before he was the big boss man, he was Big Bubba Rogers in
Yeah.
Crockett, and he was Jim Cornette's bodyguard, and he would wear a suit, wear a hat, never registered any emotion, to the point where they did a segment where he accidentally they were filming this thing and they accidentally slammed his hand in a car door for real. His hand got slammed in the car door, but he was supposed to never register pain or anything like that. So he no sells getting his hand slammed in the car door for real. They walk through this doorway, and then he's just like screaming and howling in pain as soon as the camera's off of him.
Oh my god.
I never ever once looked at a time in my life where he was on screen and I was like, he's a waste of time. I always liked him.
He became such an over-the-top heel the next year too. He was like a mustache twirling cartoon villain in 1999 because 99 is the year he kidnaps Al Snow's dog, cuts it up, and feeds it to him. And then later on in the year, during the Big Show's father's funeral, he hijacks the casket and drives off with it, with the Big Show riding on his father's casket. The boss man was the boss man. The boss man was like a really, really over the top heel in a way I didn't appreciate at the time, but it's like, wow, he was just like a cartoon villain.
And then they hung him from the top of a Hell in a Cell.
Well, I was there for that. That was WrestleMania 15. I was
Hung
there
him by his neck in front of a live crowd.
Yes, they did.
Wait, that's the same one? I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
That was the boss man. The guy
Yeah,
that
Okay.
was killed in
That
front of an
was-
entire live crowd.
That was about 6 months after this, or not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, April of 99. That was about 6 months after this.
Oh, great. Oh, Raz goes, oh, that's cute, Lily. I keep forgetting she's a new wrestling fan. And that's essentially like the reason why I think it's fun making wrestling content with her, because we're watching this as like, oh, this, and we were watching it in the Discord. I'm like, please don't say anything. She doesn't know how this show ends. Like, going back and rewatching old pay-per-views, Lily's clueless.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Don't say spoilers. Like, yeah, good stuff. But yeah, Bossman Austin, that was going to end in DQ, where the Boss Man's essentially just going to beat down Stone Cold, and there's no way Stone Cold is going to even make it to the next round.
Yeah, it's like we know Austin probably can't, or Bossman probably can't beat him, but he can beat him up. So let's just have him do that.
Yep.
And that
Next
takes
match.
us to X-Pac, the reigning European champion, against, in his only WWF pay-per-view appearance in this gimmick, a real man's man, Steven Regal. What a moment in time that is.
Yeah, and he notoriously hated this song.
Oh,
like,
he
hated it.
You know what they did to him later, right?
Oh, where Daniel Bryan came out to it?
No. He was wrestling Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was in the ring because they're really good friends. Like, shortly after this is when Regal was really instrumental in training him. But as Regal is walking out, this is in England. He's walking down the aisle. His music cuts out. That music starts playing for like 10 seconds, and Daniel Bryan loses it in the ring. And Regal's just like, I'm going to stretch you, sunshine.
Like, I'm going to break your neck, sunshine. And it's funny because they're like, he literally fought people since the age of 14 in carnivals, and he's a man's man. Like, and then they're like, I love that song. Well, he doesn't.
Well, that whole thing became, well, he's a man's man. He lives in the forest, and he squeezes his own orange juice and chops down trees. It's like, what? Why is he wearing a hard hat? Is he a construction worker? Or is he a woodsman?
That was so stupid.
Why?
Awesome.
Why are you wearing? You look like you live in the Pacific Northwest, and you're wearing a hard hat. What is this?
I didn't hate him and X-Pac in this match, though.
It was fine. It was
fine. It was fine. It wasn't a 5-star. It was entertaining. I was entertained.
The ending was weird though, because it's like there's a double count out, and then they come out and say, no, we're gonna have 5 more minutes, and X-Pac's like, nope, I'm hurt, no more, and he walks away.
Yeah, that made X-Pac look shitty.
It made me wonder if X-Pac was really banged up. It made me wonder, like, oh, he is hurt, so we kind of have to not do 5 more minutes because they made this whole thing about the first round being 10-minute time limit, where maybe they were going to do a draw here, but X-Pac was really banged up, so they had to scrap it.
It seemed like a really fast 10 count too.
Yeah. Then again, this was a 14 match show, so it was tight. It was like 2 hours 45 minutes.
Yeah,
because so many of the matches were short. And then we have a few more first round matches here. You have Goldust taking on the Intercontinental Champion Ken Shamrock, who looks like he's going to rip someone's head off. He is a bad man who is chock full of steroids, and he's going to kill somebody. Ken Shamrock was huge here.
Ken Shamrock later on in the night does some stuff in a wrestling match that I forgot he was able to do. I'm going to be honest.
I'm like, if you take this Ken Shamrock, well, I mean, he would have to pass a test in at least one of the companies, which he wouldn't be able to do. But if you took this Ken Shamrock and brought him down, like, he would be like a main event guy.
Oh my God, yeah. He did a standing Hurricanrana to The Rock later on here tonight. I'm like, I didn't know Ken Shamrock can do that. Like,
yeah. Ken Shamrock was a little lost in this time because it was less about doing stuff like that and more about talking and being a character.
Is Ken Shamrock the Nigel McGuinness, Daniel Bryan before? Like, he made shoot fighting look really good for like the way he transitioned into submissions and everything. Like, he was the blueprint to what a lot of that style is right now.
You had a lot of those guys at this time, but they were all in Japan. They were pretty much all in Japan. And you had a handful of guys, but not a lot in the WWF or WCW or even ECW.
I didn't appreciate Ken Shamrock as much. Going back and rewatching this pay-per-view, I was like, oh, Shamrock was a goat. Like, he was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Did we ever get Shamrock versus Kurt Angle?
No. By the time Angle was coming in, Shamrock was already out. Shamrock left
Jesus Christ, could you imagine that?
I want to say Shamrock left WWF in the middle of 99. It was about a year after this, and he went back to UFC.
Someone needs to create a time machine so we can book that match. I want to see.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it now. I think
no, I don't want to see it now either. But Kurt and Shamrock in a match would have been pretty fun to watch.
I wonder if AI could do it.
Video games. We can put in a video game.
There you go.
We'll stream it later on.
The next match is supposed to be The Rock against Triple H, but Triple H is still out with a very real knee injury. This was a real thing. He injured his knee, I think, in September, October this year. Because the SummerSlam before this, Triple H and The Rock had a great ladder match at SummerSlam. I think they had like a 2 out of 3 falls match after that for the Intercontinental title. And Triple H wound up blowing out his knee, and they had to vacate the title. That's how it wound up with Shamrock. But they have a... One of the great things here is Briscoe and Patterson, the Stooges, who are so good at their job, doing the whole New Age Outlaws thing. But doing their own spin on it was incredible. And they're announcing The Rock has a replacement opponent, the Big Boss Man. And it's like, oh, the Boss Man's going to try to take out The Rock now. He already worked on Austin. Now it's The Rock's turn. And he comes in and immediately gets rolled up for the 1, 2, 3. And you're like, what the hell? The Rock got him that quick? And then, later on, it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to move right along. We're out of the first round. We're out of the first round, and it's The Undertaker against Kane. And this is a little tricky here because Kane was the heel, Undertaker was the babyface, and they were both kind of heels working together. And at this point, Kane's a babyface, but Undertaker has Paul Bearer again, and it's all very screwy. And
what do you think about Paul Bearer without the makeup on?
At this point, they were trying to do a little more of a reality thing with him, so it made sense.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was fine.
Also, how far removed are we from the corporate ministry?
That is coming later. That is going to be in about 6 months, maybe a little 6, 7, 8 months. After by King of the Ring by next June. This is November to June. So about 8 months until that happens, because we do have a very very brief Vince McMahon babyface run for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't last long at all.
And Kane and Undertaker put on a fine match. They didn't do crazy stuff, but it was fine.
And so Paul Bearer kind of helps. They do the took this finish from PPW where Paul's grabbing the feet. This is how Sugar Dan beat Tom Mitchell for the No Limits title. I was stealing more from Bobby Heenan at WrestleMania 5, but whatever. So yeah, Undertaker's going to advance here, and then we get to the rest of the quarterfinals. Mankind and Al Snow, and this is where the sock on head becomes a thing where like Mick Foley realizes that, and that's what sparks his comeback at the end, where he just goes nuts and just beats Al Snow with the mandible claw, and he has Socko back. This is also, and it's not fully realized yet, but this is also, I think, the debut, or around the same time as the debut, of the look that Mankind will have the rest of the way, where he's not wearing the whole brown full body thing, like the brown vest and the brown pants. He's wearing the
white
raggedy dress shirt. Yeah,
but he
like
keeps the bow tie.
No, he actually
his bow tie that
he switches to a black tie.
He switches to an actual like necktie. Yeah, I don't think it was always black, but he does switch to a necktie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he'll wear the dress shirt and the necktie and the brown pants from here on in, pretty much whenever he's Mankind. Which is he had a brief run as Cactus Jack, but most of the time
he actually coins a catchphrase this show too that becomes pretty popular.
Is this where he starts "Have a nice day," or is it something else?
Well, no, he starts saying, "Do you smell? If you smell what the sock is cooking."
Oh, what the sock is cooking. There you go.
And they start planting the seeds for later on what will become the Rock and Sock connection.
Yeah, because they tried with the Rock. We'll get to that in a little bit here.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Rock, he's in the next match, which is one of the better matches on the show. I think the Rock and Ken Shamrock.
100% agree.
This is where you get Rana, and they have a decent match. They had feuded for most of this year, and so they had a match at WrestleMania 14. So before the Rock eases into that feud with Triple H, early on in 1999, he is feuding with Shamrock for the Intercontinental title. And at this point, the Rock's kind of above that title, so Shamrock has it. He's like the head of the mid card here. And so the finish here is Boss Man comes out, and he's supposed to toss the nightstick to Shamrock, but the Rock intercepts it, because I think Shamrock was involved with the corporation at this point. If not, he's about to be.
He throws it straight over his head. He overthrows it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he overthrows it. The Rock, he's clearly supposed to be throwing it to the Rock. Like that. The
great catch, by the way. The Rock with a great catch.
He's got hands for a defensive end.
It's almost as impressive when Brock threw the microphone at Roman and he caught it randomly.
Also,
and Brock was like, "Yeah,
Roman's got hands for a D tackle." Yeah,
man, good hands.
So the Rock catches a nightstick, levels Shamrock, gets the 1, 2, 3, and it's like, oh, the Rock. They keep trying to get the Rock, but he keeps outfoxing them. That Rock is one step ahead of the corporation,
and the fans are fucking scooping it in.
Because they really want to love the Rock so much here. He's just turned babyface very recently, and they're loving every second of it. Yep. Then we have just a women's title match here with Sable against Jacqueline. I want to
say this real quick. The fact they tried to make Sable a powerhouse and give her a powerbomb, who thought of that? That was silly, because essentially Mark Merrow almost kills himself trying to let her powerbomb him.
Yeah, not a great idea.
Yeah. Jacqueline looked amazing. I love Jacqueline all day long.
She was very good, but Sable was never an amazing wrestler.
Time machine match. Jacqueline versus Athena.
Okay, that would be decent.
Yeah.
So I think the real crux of this match is to more firmly establish Shane McMahon as a referee, because they did a whole thing where Shane is one of the outs with his father, who he's not going to completely fire him, but he's got to go back to how he started as a lowly referee. And Shane was a referee like back in the 80s. He was Shane Stevens. And so they have him back there. And I think he had reffed a few matches on Raw before this. This is before SmackDown was a thing, but I think Raw and Heat, he reffed a few matches. And that's going to lead us to our first semifinal match, which is The Rock and Steve Austin. And there's not a ref bump, like Vince, who's been in a wheelchair all night, gets up, pulls the referee out as Austin has Mankind dead to rights and knocks out the referee. But here comes Shane McMahon as the referee after a stunner. 1, 2, and in this version, blurred out double middle finger right to Austin, saying, "Screw you."
It's Austin versus Mankind, not The Rock.
Yeah, Austin and Mankind. My mistake. Yeah, because again, the whole idea here is they're setting it up so anybody but Austin, but Mankind's our guy. And yeah, he's a doofus, but he's our doofus, and we can control him. We can keep our thumb down on Mankind. He's going to be our corporate champion. And so yeah, it's one. Mankind is laid out with the stunner. You get the 1-2, the double middle finger. Austin takes a little bit too long to. This was a little awkward. It seems like there was almost maybe I'm thinking maybe Briscoe and Patterson missed their cue or something. I don't know why. There's a lot of like awkwardness here, a lot of downtime. But eventually they come in, they knock out Austin with a chair, and Mankind gets the pin here. I thought Shane should have done a fast count just to kind of really protect Austin. I thought the count should have been a little faster. And then they're doing a callback, but it's a false callback to the Montreal screw job, because they're kind of like, so this is how they're going to reference Montreal. This is how they're doing it. They're doing a screw job on Austin.
Yeah,
and everybody
and
runs out,
chasing them out of the building. Yeah,
runs to the limo. You do see Boss Man too. Boss Man, you can tell he never gets in the car. He just walks off. It's a very subtle thing, because Boss Man is going to get involved here in a little bit. He's actually going to get involved in the next match, which is going to be The Rock and The Undertaker, because they still want to try to stop The Rock. They're out there to make sure The Rock nothing's going to happen with The Rock. Although Kane is the one, because even this match can't have a clean finish. None of these matches, clean finishes. Get out of here. This is the Attitude Era. We don't need that. There's run-ins, just like there's run-ins.
Dude, he just needs to be up here. He wants
because
to go.
He's trying to go in the
He
attic.
wants to go to the attic,
blocked
and we have it
off.
blocked off now.
Oh, okay. Well, cats are going to do what cats are going to do.
Yeah.
So Kane comes in, and for a guy who is his scene at this point is not being very intelligent, he's going to do a very smart thing and chokeslam the Rock, so the Undertaker gets disqualified despite the Undertaker. They would do that finish every now and then, like, I don't like you, so I'm going to attack your opponent so you get disqualified.
Yeah.
The most famous one of that was when Brian Pillman was feuding with Goldust, and he had to wear a dress until he won a match, and he's wrestling Road Dogg, and Goldust comes in and just elbow drops Road Dogg, so Pillman loses, and he has to continue wearing the dress. So they would do things like that. One last kind of buffer match here, because The Rock is going to advance by disqualification, and that's the New Age Outlaws beating D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry and the Headbangers. It's a match.
The Outlaw rule does not apply, so the Outlaws cannot pin each other, because that's how they won the titles.
Yes, yeah, they
tried to do that the other on the pay-per-view with the Acclaimed, and no one got the reference. Everyone's like, that would have just ended in a no contest. I'm like, no, if it's no, the New Age Outlaws did that and won tag team championships.
Yeah, the Outlaw rule, I guess it's just assumed now that you can't do that.
Yeah.
So that takes us to our main event of the evening: Mankind and The Rock to crown the new WWF champion, and the gang's all here. Austin is gone. The limo baited Austin out of the arena. He's not going to be a factor. And everybody's gathered around to make sure that Mankind is going to become the corporate champion. He's going to fulfill the master plan of Vince McMahon, who, by the way, was incensed earlier that Austin got a bye because of the draw in the X-Pac Steve Regal match.
Yeah.
But there's a weakness in their plan, and we'll get to it here in a second. Like, The Rock almost goes out here. The Rock almost goes out to the Mandible Claw, and shortly after that, The Rock gets his comeback. He gets the rock bottom, slaps on the sharpshooter, and it's Montreal all over again. Ring the effing bell, and it's over. But in kayfabe, what if The Rock goes out to the Mandible Claw? Like, why wasn't anybody rushing in to stop that? Why wasn't somebody
yeah.
Like, he could have easily lost. And then your whole plan that has been so intricately laid out to this point is up in smoke.
Didn't even try to step in. Yeah.
There's that seam. There's that plot hole. There's not a whole lot of plot holes in this. For a Russo McMahon type thing, this was pretty tight plot wise. But that's the big thing. But now at the end here,
one more big missed opportunity at the very end. And I guess it wasn't popular yet. But you know it's happening, but they don't glass shatter. He just comes out to no music.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dude, Lily's gonna experience her first glass shatter, and I thought the glass shatter was gonna hit and this place was gonna rock. But he just walks out to nothing, and it kind of ruined the moment until the crowd actually seen him halfway down the ramp, and then he just runs in, and I was like, man, if they would have played the,
they got better than that. They got better at that in a while, but
yeah.
This is the birth of the people's champ. At this point, the corporate champ. This is kind of the proto version, and he was a heel before this, but this is the first look at The Rock we got this year.
You know what I noticed too in this one? The Rock does the people's elbow with his back to the hard cam because he's doing it for the people, and then when he turns heel, he turns away from them and goes hard cam.
It was the corporate elbow, it wasn't the people's elbow.
But I'm saying he turns his back to the people to do the elbow because he's looking at hard cam now because he's vain.
This is also probably the last time in a while you're going to see people kick out of that move.
Yeah,
Shamrock kicked out of it. It wasn't quite his finish yet. It wasn't quite. It was like, it's an elbow. We can't have that be his finish. And it was like, yeah, screw it. It can be his finish.
And wasn't it created to make the Undertaker laugh?
I believe so. A lot of the best ideas ever just done.
And he hit the Undertaker with it. And the Rock is one big thing here yet. You don't see the Rock is not overselling the Stone Cold Stunner yet.
No, that's going to come very soon. Well, he did. He did at the end of '98, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it here.
Not at this pay-per-view, no.
But this is really going to make The Rock and Mankind. This is the show that forms them into who they are. This is the show. This is the birth of The Rock. Yes, he had been around for a while. He had grown in popularity, but this is The Rock becoming The Rock right here. This is the show. This is where it happens.
Yep, totally. Overall, I mean, I'm gonna say for being in that many matches, tournament style pay-per-view, I didn't hate it. I had a good time watching it.
It is the Attitude Era sometimes doesn't age well because the wrestling isn't up to modern standards, but it was peak wrestling a soap opera, and this is as good as that got. This is as good as that got was the show. For what it wanted to be, for what it's sorry, go ahead.
Nobody talked about my one moment.
Go ahead.
When Paul Bearer hits The Rock with the shoe, all I kept thinking was, man, if he had just been like 30 years earlier and Toni Storm was there, she could have told him to look out.
Timeless Paul Bearer. There you go.
Timeless Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer was so good with the referee too, where he's like acting like he's gonna hit the ref. Like just the work Paul Bearer did on the outside was so good too. So
Paul Bearer was a very good man.
And the ref, what was Earl?
Earl Hebner. Oh, Earl Hebner. When Earl Hebner gets like Kane Undertaker, where he's in their face, and Undertaker does like, "I'll kill you," and he, and then he comes, "Get out of there! Get out of there! I'll get you!" And then he like, as soon as someone like steps up to him,
he's like, "Just kidding, just kidding."
Yeah, Earl's a goat. I love Earl.
Earl's amazing. Earl's amazing.
Anything that really stood out for you this one before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just first of all, how young Shane McMahon looked. Shane McMahon looked like a fresh-faced whippersnapper here.
Yeah.
Like, wow, Shane looks like he's like 12. It's funny because I just saw, and it's not that much of a removal of time, but I just was watching that WWE Vault channel on YouTube is hooking up to my veins. Like that they come up with like behind the scenes stuff and all this like really obscure stuff. They came out with a thing like a week and a half ago it was the Randy Savage Mega Mix, and that is something that is going to really appeal to me. And it's like 3 hours of Macho Man, and it's like obscure stuff from Kentucky. One of the few matches he had with Shawn Michaels is on there. One of the few matches he had with The Undertaker is on there. And
really,
one of the things they have
WWE putting work into their YouTube channel.
One of the things they have on there is the match he had with Ric Flair at WrestleMania 8, and Elizabeth comes out like halfway through the match, and like they have a bunch of people like blocking her, like because Savage was very, 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 very adamant that nobody in the crowd could touch Elizabeth, so she always had like human shields, and it was usually Pat Patterson because he was also worried about the people that were bringing Elizabeth out touching Elizabeth. My light just died. I apologize.
You're good.
So. It's Pat Patterson. I believe one of the other ones. I believe one of the other ones may have been JJ Dillon, and then one of the other people who was coming out is a very young, not a TV character yet at all. Shane McMahon is bringing out Elizabeth or escorting Elizabeth out, and it was one of those rare times you get to see Shane. And he looked pretty much the same in 1992 92 as he did in 1999.
Yeah. Well, the light has been turned off, which means BP has to go, ladies and gentlemen. He has things to do. The Booker man has meetings to run, shows to figure out. BP, anything you want to plug or talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, so you just brought it up, PPW, the Winds of Winter. Keep it on our YouTube. Actually, we'll have time to plug the Winds of Winter. Keep it on our YouTube. If I can get it fully cut up and everything, I think we're going to start putting out some of the TV we've been working on. PPW High Voltage is back if you're local, and you get WYLN, which is local to like Hazleton up to Scranton. If you have Service Electric Cable in Pennsylvania, you can usually get it. I think it's in parts of Allentown as well. Every Saturday at 5 p.m. and Sunday at 10 p.m. Brand new episodes of local wrestling. It is, and what we're going for on this show is that old school, like episodic TV wrestling, very straightforward. You know, tells a story week to week, and you can just sit back for an hour and enjoy it. But we're gonna try to put a few of those up on YouTube and get that going as well. So keep an eye out. Hopefully this weekend, maybe even Black Friday, we'll be able to throw out the last episode, which was a 2-match show, 2 title matches, both from October. We had Sugar Dan and Tom Mitchell for the No Limits title, and we had Facade and VSK in a barn burner for the PPW heavyweight title. And not, I think coming up, not this weekend, but the weekend after, is going to be Facade and Brad Baylor, and that interesting thing that may have happened afterward is going to be on TV. Probably not this weekend. This weekend is going to be VSK and Nolan Pierce, but the weekend after is going to be Facade and Brad Baylor, and the events that transpired afterward.
All right, Lily, what do you want to plug?
We are going to be at the Black Diamond tomorrow night for karaoke night.
Yeah, I'll be hosting karaoke and DJing for Big Wednesday at Black Diamond tomorrow if you're local. That's all I got. Cool. Go support High Tension. Go support New Era Pro Wrestling, PPW, AXW, our buddies over at Pilguru. But real important, go support High Tension and Ruda Entertainment. If you need a belt, remember, go hit these guys up. Ruda makes amazing belts. Tell them ABJ sent you, so I get that credit. And
let's set the record straight. Like I know we were talking about the brass belt earlier. If you are a fan and you want a replica belt, that's wonderful. If you are a wrestling promotion and you want to upgrade your championship game, Ruda Entertainment is your go-to. Like that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I walk into places with this title and the Tornado Tag belt, and I've been places where my belt's better than the actual promotions belts.
I mean, sometimes the actual promotions belts are made by Ruda.
If they're smart, they are.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. You're exactly right.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. Tornado Tag. We'll be back next week. I know it's cold, it's getting a little chilly, but there's 2 things you need when it gets a little cold out, BP, and that's to cuddle up with your mamacita, and sometimes you just need to bring that Latino heat to heat up that winter months. Next month, we'll be doing the history of Eddie Guerrero.
And don't forget, if you're needing a little extra money for that holiday shopping, you can always do 3 things. You can lie, cheat, and steal.
That's right. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.